Hey everyone, welcome in to another daily editorial. Here on the KE Report, we're going to be focusing on a number of markets here because, look, let's face it, there's a number of markets breaking out, some all-time highs being hit, and quite frankly, there's a lot of opportunities out there for traders in a wide range of sectors. So hopefully you've been listening to our guest recently, our guest being T.G. Watkins, Director of Stocks at Simpler Trading, also editor of the Profit Pilot website. Now, TG, recently we've been talking a lot about commodities because of those breakouts, but I like chatting with you because you show us all these other sectors that are breaking out as well. I first just want to start with the broad averages because the S&P, it was just a few days ago, went right back to all-time highs after showing a bit of weakness through most of April. But then when May turned the calendar over, it went straight up back to these all-time highs and right now kind of leveled off around those highs. Today we're seeing a bit of weakness in the markets. You look at a daily chart and, well, we do see the markets really dropped. It sounds like on the back of those FOMC minutes, but on a percentage basis, S&P isn't even down 0.5%. The Dow is down right around 0.5%. Russell, that's the underperformer. They're down about 1%. But again, TG, what are you seeing in these markets, and is this pullback today any concern for you?
No, the pullback is normal. This is what I've been expecting for the last few days. The market, go figure. You always get the thing where the headlines and the news, like, oh, Dow reaches 40,000, so everyone's super excited, and then people buy into it. And what do? They sell it off a little bit. It's just kind of how the market is and manipulates things. And so maybe some people got stopped out or who knows what, or put some cold water on it. But I think obviously that's good news. Just don't go buying the high. And so I've been expecting the market to pull back like this. We got the drop I was looking for today, so that's nice. And it was on the back of FOMC minutes. Apparently they're a little bit more hawkish, but really I think it was just an excuse, as Shad and I were talking about earlier. And really, I think what's going to set up the next move is NVIDIA earnings today, this afternoon, probably in just a few minutes after the market closes. So if NVIDIA goes up, the market's going to go up. And if that happens, then it's going to be a perfect story that the S&P, from a technical standpoint, bounced off of the daily 8 EMA and bounced off of the hourly 50 SMA. It's just going to be perfect that way. Today's drop just ran right into those moving averages, fixing the technical situation. And now we're clear for the market to go up if it wants to. Now, if it's neutral or goes down, also no big deal, because it still could be considered a little bit stretched to the upside. A little bit more pullback and some more sideways to down would also be fine. It's just needs to digest it a little bit more. I'm totally okay with how this is working out, and I'm fine with either, as long as it just doesn't start trending down a big way. Totally okay with it, because this market is strong. It just needs to digest the big move that it had, the new highs, and it just needs to find its footing. And so we'll see if NVIDIA helps accelerate that.
Yeah, TG, it'd be nice to see it just bounce off those moving averages, as you say, or maybe the next rung down of the moving averages. But it's expected to see a little bit of a pullback and cooling down after such a big run. Just one question I have for you that we were discussing a little bit, and that was the cryptos taking off. It seems like the animal spirits are really back across the board. To Corey's point, just almost everywhere. So it's not just that cryptos have started moving again, but we've seen meme stocks moving, with NVIDIA having such a big following and Momo investors in it. Do you think that there's just that new spirit of, I guess, a reflation trade where people are just excited to speculate again in the markets?
Yeah, I think, of course, time kind of heals all wounds, and people needed to get reoriented, recalibrated from everything that was happening with after 2020 and interest rates. And basically people like, oh, okay, well, nothing imploded. The world didn't crash. The banking system's still here. Like, we're okay. And everybody's adapting to the new normal for interest rates. Like, it's just, I think enough time have gone by. People have just found their new normal. And we're like, okay, let's keep going. Things are still chugging along and doing fine. As far as the meme stuff, it's not that frothy. Like, you saw GameStop and AMC kind of pop, last week, because Roaring Kitty is around. You still got to be careful with that. It is not the same as 2020 right now, and you can see that GameStop went up and came right back down. So I just don't really touch those unless they're day trades. You just can't trust them. They're way too crazy. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with what else is going on out there. This market just feels good, strong. We're hitting new highs. Interest rates are holding, so that's okay. and inflation is not running away. Everyone was so concerned about, I think, two inflation reports ago where it was a little bit hot, but it's come back down a little bit, and basically it's sideways. As long as even inflation is sideways, the market's going to be okay with it because at least it's not ramping back up. That's all we're trying to see, and I think the market's like, fine, whatever. We're here to make money. Let's go make money.
Yeah, that's clearly what we are seeing in the markets due to all of these moves higher. Just circling back to Bitcoin, cryptos broadly, Bitcoin is making a run higher, has made a run higher, hasn't quite touched those recent highs of about almost 74,000 that happened back in March. Do you see that level being taken out, or what are some of your targets for the crypto space?
Yeah, I don't really have targets for that, but I do think it's going to go higher. I mean, have you guys seen Ethereum? So Ethereum, I think you got good SEC news or potential, something like that. They were in works, and it basically jumped 42%. So that just bodes well for the whole crypto space. That's why cryptos are doing well. I mean, see Ethereum getting acceptance and a big move like that. Bitcoin, of course, is doing its thing. You got all the ETFs for Bitcoin. I mean, this stuff's here to stay, and people are working with it. And then eventually they don't want to miss out on it. And so the only other thing was that the crypto miners took a little bit of time to get themselves figured out with the halving. That, I think, was the big thing that they were trying to figure out because it affects them more than it actually affects the coin itself. And there definitely is a wide range of successful or not successful companies for the miners. So you can't just go buy any miner. You really do want to find the good ones and see if you can ride them.
Well, I was actually going to ask you about the miners just because I was thinking we've talked in the past about Mara and Riot and HUD-8. Any thoughts on the technical setups in any of those?
CLSK, I think, is the best. I'll put it that way. I think that one is the best. And IREN is another one. I'm actually kind of sad that I missed that after earnings, but that one was just absolutely perfect and looks great. Mara is also doing very, very well. And then Riot, I don't think Riot's not doing really well. HUT is in the garbage. Hive is in the garbage. And then the other one I like, Cypher, it hasn't done anything, but I'm kind of wondering if it's actually, slowly pressure cooking something. There could be something up its sleeve. But those are kind of the ones. It's like CLSK, IREN, Mara, possibly Cypher.
So TG, if we take a step back before we get into some of the commodities, have we seen, in a way, a market complete revaluation here with not just different sectors moving higher, but also commodities moving higher? Many of those, or a number of those, have broken out to all-time highs. A number of those are at least well over 52-week highs. Has this just been a market revaluation?
Possibly. I think that a lot of people talk about when it comes to commodities, like, how is the economy doing? And I think that we've seen that oil is not falling apart either, and it's not too high, it's not too low. So I think with energy being kind of just about right, that says good things about the economy. I don't know. I think the bigger picture is that it just says that, interest rates are high. We're doing okay. Inflation is still present, but it's cooling off. And so far, people are adapting and just kind of figuring out the new normal and being like, okay, maybe interest rates will back off a little bit because then they can take their foot off the brakes a little bit. And we're going to keep trying. We're just going to keep trying to move ahead.
Well, TG, you brought up energy there. And as far as the commodities, I do want to ask you about the uranium sector. Some of the uranium miners have started lifting back off again. Now, you had a great call. You had a couple great calls in uranium. You called it when it was on the way up. Then you said it was going to correct, and it did. And now it looks like it's moving back off of the 50-day EMA, just like you said. And some people are pointing to the ETF URA as maybe even having a cup and handle pattern that's getting ready to blast off. How are you looking at the uranium miners now?
Yeah, same thing. I think they're doing fine. They have clearly been in a really good, really good uptrend on even the monthly, weekly charts. Big volume has been coming into it, all that kind of stuff. And then, we talked about where it was likely to pull back, and it did. And then it found some support. And then I said, okay, let's see if it can actually confirm that. And URA specifically pulled back into the daily 50. Look here, about the end of April. I mean, it just doesn't get any more picture perfect than that. I mean, it's actually picture perfect. And you could say that there's almost a cup and a handle within a cup and a handle. So if I look at the daily chart from about April to mid-May, you could say that was a cup with handle, and now we're moving higher. And then if you look at the monthly chart, you could say that maybe from November of 2021 to just a few months ago, that was a cup and handle, and now we're starting to move up. So I don't know, two cup and handles within each other. So, yeah, sounds pretty good.
TG, what about some of the other commodities then too, or other resource sectors? Gold up to about 2,400. Silver broke out at $30. Copper over $5, although it's pulled back today to under $5. Any of those areas or the underlying ETFs caught your eye?
I mean, yeah, what else is there to say? They're doing great. They're up, they're doing great. I mean, I've even seen things like lithium might have hit a bottom and start moving up. We're in Tesla, and I don't know if this is going to be necessarily related to commodities and all that stuff, but I think the narrative of maybe EVs are getting a bad rap and all this kind of stuff could have reached a point where they've hit their lows, and we could be seeing a move up. Like even Rivian looks interesting. I think now again, these are maybe some of my stuff is a little bit quicker as far as trades, but I'm seeing a setup in Rivian that I think is going to be popping pretty soon. I don't know if it's going to be like a long-term hold, but I'm definitely seeing something with it, and it has me very interested in stuff. So I don't know. Look around at the lithium. I think, yeah, even LIT, which is the lithium ETF, there might have been a double bottom, and it could be basing. And I think ALB, same thing. These could be longer-term bases that might start kind of moving up. So the junk and the garbage and the things that have been forgotten about and hated might actually be hitting some lows.
Well, TG, I think a lot of people listening would be happy to hear that maybe some of their beleaguered lithium stocks are finally starting to bottom and possibly start heading higher. Let me throw another one at you. I don't know if you follow the copper stocks really closely, but COPX, it's the copper producers. Copper's last week broke out to an all-time high, and some of the copper producers have been doing well. It's been blasting up into new all-time highs as well. When you look at a chart like COPX, anything jump out to you?
It has been so bullish. It has this last time, it really only flagged into the daily 21. It didn't even need the daily 50. That's great for that period of time. Now, maybe because it's pulling back now, maybe this is where it needs to start cooling off a little bit. Okay. So kind of like how I was able to call uranium and said, hey, probably needs to chill out a little bit. This might be the spot where copper needs to chill out a bit. It did. I'm looking at COPX on the monthly chart. It made new all-time highs after years. 3 years, and it went up and hit some resistance there. And so I would just say, yeah, probably don't chase it from here. Let it chop around, do something, pull back, maybe see about the daily 50. And I think it'll go higher later. Just I think right now it needs to pull back and digest the big move that it had. That seems reasonable to me.
TG, when you're looking at some of these stocks, maybe underlying some of these commodities or these other sectors, even like the ones that you said in the crypto space, these stocks that haven't moved yet, haven't taken part in this rally, is there an opportunity there, or is that the market telling you that these are laggards and they're going to remain that way?
That really depends. You're going to have to take that on a case by case, because in a bull market, the leaders will lead. And if it is a good bull market that wants to broaden out, then it's going to pull other things with it. And as more and more people kind of start getting the message like, oh, okay, market's making new highs. Oh, these are making new highs. Oh, this thing keeps going up. Like, oh, it's just going to start saying more and more things need to work up. So yeah, we could start seeing junk off the bottom. We could start seeing things that have been basing for a long time start to work out and come up. I'm looking at things like, and I'm not trading them, but I'm just being aware that something like Blink. Blink is one of the electric charging companies, and it got absolutely wrecked after 2020. But it has been sideways for the last several months, something like that. And if it stops going down, what do you think is probably going to happen next? Well, it could go up. I just don't think it's going to go down much more. And I'm seeing that there's a ton of volume coming into these things. So from people who are longer term traders who want to kind of look at the landscape, there might be some big opportunities here where if you just are patient and you kind of lay your chips down and say, I think this is going to go generally in an upward direction over the course of time, I think that we're starting to see some really good opportunities.
Well, just TG, to that same point, something that was kind of left for dead, but has started trending higher and maybe presenting an opportunity that you were mentioning to us off mic, is the regional banks in the ETF KRE. That's the SPDR ETF. That's the regional banks got a really bad rap a year or two ago, but you were saying it's looking like a constructive setup.
Yes, I've got a little ace of my sleeve on that one, but I do think that those are doing well. And again, yeah, they left for dead. And if we look at the monthly and weekly chart, they're setting up. I just don't know what else to say about this, but everything I'm seeing says they're doing okay. And I think that's the thing. If people think something's bad or whatever, and it keeps getting bad press, and you look at the charts and you're like, not too bad. Well, that narrative is going to keep it suppressed, and the people who know things are going to start buying it when it's cheap and not volatile, and then they're going to build their position, and then that's when things start to go up, and then the narrative has to change.
Very good points, TG. Really appreciate the way that, again, you look at these markets and let the charts talk to you, because look, we can always wrap a narrative around why something's going up, why something's going down. But the fact of the matter is, let's pay attention to the charts, and you have caught so many of these swings and the momentum in a wide range of sectors. I really do appreciate you sharing your insights with us and our audience. Again, you want to keep up to date with TG Watkins, check out his Profit Pilot website, which we will link to below, and we'll chat with TG in another couple weeks. TG, have a great rest of your week, man. Thank you.